Public information statement following seismic activity and Parry's retirement. Can Nevis expect a by-election? Regionally, Puerto Rico residents sleeping outside as aftershock rock region hit by deadly earthquake. Internationally, a year Napa Breton sentenced over false rape claim. And in sports, Liverpool and Senegal's forward named CAF African Player of the Year. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back and now on to the national news in detail. In relation to the spate of quakes that have occurred in Puerto Rico from December 28th to December 28, 2019 to Tuesday, January 7, 2020, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA in St. Kitts has issued a statement about the possibility of such hazards occurring. Puerto Rico has experienced a number of earthquakes, with the most recent a 6.5 magnitude quake causing structural damage to the island and killing one 73-year-old man. Quakes also cause tsunamis. According to the public information statement, coastal communities to be affected by potential sea rise levels are namely in St. Kitts, the southeast to northwestern part of the island, which includes Basse-Terre, Frigate Bay, Connery, Half Moon, Sandy Point, Fig Tree, Old Road, Date Bay, and Parsons. Here on Nevis, the areas are Bart Village in the southwest, Stony Grove, Owali, Cades Bay, Jessops, Pinneys, Charlestown, and Newcastle. Deputy National Disaster Coordinator for NEMA in St. Kitts, Clarissa Langley-Stevens, explains.
One of the things that we recognize with the spurt of seismic-related activity coming off of Puerto Rico is that, one, they're occurring on the southern side of the island, which in effect affects the Caribbean Sea, and of course St. Kitts is touched by the Caribbean Sea. And we have several communities on both St. Kitts and Nevis that are vulnerable to any high tide, sea level rise, any change in the sea level. And so we thought, because the information came from the Seismic Research Center indicating that the earthquakes are occurring in shallow waters and the possibility of wave action, we felt it necessary to open the doors of awareness and education to the general public on both St. Kitts and Nevis.
She said that the release was not intended to scare anyone.
Our aim is to be able to prevent or mitigate where we can. And a lot of mitigation has to do with educating first. Puerto Rico is not a very far distance away from St. Kitts and Nevis. And in the event that something had to happen, we wanted first to know what is the best course of action to take. We wanted first to know the communities that were vulnerable. So we just used the opportunity to be able to educate first about best practices. It never intending to cause any panic whatsoever.
Deputy National Disaster Coordinator for NEMA in St. Kitts, Clarissa Langley-Stevens. Can the island of Nevis expect a by-election following Joseph Parry's retirement from active politics? Mr. Joseph Parry was the lone member of the opposition following Nevis's local elections in December 2017, Nevis's premier from 2006 to 2013, and was the former leader of the Nevis Reformation Party (NRP). The VOA Newsline spoke with President of the Nevis Island Assembly, the Honourable Farrell Smithon, who had this to say.
We received correspondence from Mr. Parry. We received that information in late December, indicating that he has decided to call it a day, so to speak, as of the 1st of January 2020. And so having gotten that bit of information by letter, we submitted it to the relevant persons for action.
Nevis's Premier, the Honourable Mark Brantley, also gave this comment following Mr. Parry's retirement.
It is a bittersweet moment, if you will, because on the one hand, he and I have not been on the same side. We've always had our political battles. But I think that the quality of service that he has given cannot be gainsaid, and that we ought to remember, despite the battles and the differences of opinions on occasions, ultimately the contribution, often in difficult circumstances, that he would have made.
We also spoke to Mr. Brantley with regards to St. Kitts and Nevis's Constitution, Chapter 4 of the Legislature, Section 48, which speaks directly about the island of Nevis, which states, where the seat of a member of the Assembly falls vacant, otherwise than by reason of dissolution of the Legislature, if the vacant seat is that of an elected member, a by-election shall be held to fill the vacancy within 90 days of the occurrence of the vacancy, unless the Legislature is sooner dissolved.
Well, the constitutional dictates would have to be honored, and so we have to ready ourselves to deal with it in the appropriate fashion at the appropriate time. That is what the Constitution mandates, and we shall have to do what we have to do. So I believe the public will hear more as the days and weeks go by.
Nevis's Premier, the Honourable Mark Brantley. World-renowned and influential educator Dr. Freeman A. Hrabowski III offered his commendations to Prime Minister Dr. the Honourable Timothy Harris yesterday, Tuesday, January 7th. Dr. Hrabowski, who is the president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, was a special guest speaker at the Prime Minister's Gala on Saturday, January 4th. Dr. Hrabowski said he was so impressed with how the Prime Minister is managing the affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis. He added that the Prime Minister has selected a very impressive collection of cabinet members who clearly bring great expertise to the work. He has been named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world 2012 and one of America's best leaders in 2008 by U.S. News and World Report. He was also selected by former President Barack Obama in 2012 to chair the President's Advisory Commission on Educational Excellence for African Americans. Traffic accidents have been plaguing St. Kitts and Nevis for a number of years. According to statistics from the Traffic Department of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, there was an increase in accidents in 2019. For 2020, there have been 5 reported accidents in the Federation, 1 major accident on Nevis on New Year's Day, and 4 minor accidents in St. Kitts. In 2019, there was a total of 4 road fatalities in St. Kitts and Nevis, 2 on Nevis and 2 in St. Kitts. Superintendent of Police here on Nevis, Mr. Lyndon David, in an interview with the VOA Newsline, provided some figures as it relates to the island of Nevis over the past few years.
We have seen an increase last year over 2018. For example, in 2018 we had 313 traffic accidents, and in 2019 we had 336. So you see that we had an increase by 23, and to me that is a lot. We had 1 fatality in 2018 and 2 in 2019. We've seen a reduction in serious traffic accidents, where we had 5 in 2018, we had 1 in 2019, and 2015 we see slight, where you may have, as we call them, fender benders. So we had 51 in 2018 and 59 in 2019, which is last year. And when it comes to non-injury, we had 256 in 2018 and 274 last year.
He noted that this increase speaks much to the drivers on the island. But what is being done to prevent these accidents and in turn the loss of lives? Superintendent David spoke to the actions that will be taken to decrease the number of traffic accidents for the 2020 calendar year.
We will use our motorcycles and we will use our cars and our pickups and our jeeps to enforce the traffic laws. We will use the man walking on foot. So we have our traffic wardens and we have our police constables, police sergeants, police inspectors, police superintendent, police corporal. We will be on the road. We are asking persons to report anonymously reckless and dangerous drivers on the road. We will be using the media as well, so we're going to use Van Radio and all the media houses out there to also send our message out to the motoring public. We're going to try something new. We're going to go out there. We're going to put on our siren and we're going to stop you, make you feel like you're going to get a ticket, but we're going to give you some road safety tips. So we're going to use as much avenues as possible to educate and also enforce the law.
Superintendent Lyndon David. Meanwhile, investigations into the first traffic accident here on Nevis for 2020 are ongoing. That was revealed to the VOA Newsline by head of the Nevis Division of the Police Force, Superintendent Lyndon David. He noted that the individuals involved in the accident are still hospitalized and the extent of their injuries are still not known. He explained that the appropriate course of action will be taken following the results of the investigation. On the morning of Wednesday, 1st January, between 4 and 5 o'clock, a RAV4 two-door Jeep slammed into a wall on the island's main road in the Cotton Ground area. Video footage showed that the vehicle was extensively damaged. And that's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
We know you have your personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions to make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Gold Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back and on to the regional news. Puerto Rican residents spent the night outside as aftershocks rocked the island following a magnitude 6.4 earthquake that knocked out power and water services in some areas. The quake was the strongest and likely the most damaging of hundreds of temblors that have struck the island since December 28th. It hit before dawn on Tuesday, leaving a man dead and causing dozens of homes and structures to crumble. It was centered off Puerto Rico's southern coast, 6 miles south of Indios. Governor Wanda Vasquez declared a state emergency and activated the Puerto Rico National Guard as she pleaded with residents to remain calm and prepare for aftershocks. Terrified of sleeping indoors as aftershocks continue, neighbors put mattresses in their front yards while others spent the night on Tuesday under white tents and tarps. Hundreds of aftershocks have hit the area in the past few days. Much of Puerto Rico is still without power as engineers work to restore it in phases. About 500,000 customers are back on the grid, the Electric Energy Authority said in a tweet, edition.cnn.com says. Meanwhile, the Seismic Research Center, SRC, at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago says the region must be prepared following a 6.4 magnitude earthquake that hit Puerto Rico. The SRC said that the recent quakes in Puerto Rico should serve as a reminder to the Caribbean that our region is seismically active and we always need to be prepared. Power outages and damage have been reported, including in the city of Ponce, where 73-year-old Nelson Martinez was killed when an inner wall that was under construction in his house collapsed. There has been structural damage to roads and bridges, especially in the southwestern part of the island. The U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, says hundreds of small earthquakes have hit the island since December 28, including at least 29 over magnitude 4.0. In Trinidad, a lawyer and 3 other people were granted bail when they appeared in court on Monday, charged in connection with the human trafficking bust at a church rehab facility 3 months ago. The court appearance of 37-year-old civil attorney Lena Joganoff, who is accused of human trafficking, came 3 days after her mother injured Joganoff, and Pastor Glenn Awang of Transformed Life Ministry TLM appeared in court on similar charges. She was granted $150,000 in Trinidad and Tobago's currency. Also appearing in court with her yesterday were 2 TLM employees, Robert Andrews, 70, and Anthony Marchand, 74, and Cheryl Kalicharan Behari, the mother of one of the men rescued from the rehab center. All 3 were charged with human trafficking and kidnapping, while Behari was additionally accused of false imprisonment, and they were each released on $200,000 in Trinidad and Tobago currency, even on a bail. When the elder Joganoff appeared in court last Friday, she was jointly charged with the pastor, her employer, with keeping people under exploitative conditions contrary to the Trafficking Against Persons Act. And St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastney said the St. Lucia government anticipates that 2020 will be an extremely promising year, urging everyone to make 2020 one of the best years in St. Lucia's history. Mr. Chastney made the comment on his official Facebook page as he chaired the first cabinet meeting of the new year on Monday, January 6th. According to stlucianewsandland.com, he said, as we continue the work of building a new and progressive St. Lucia which benefits all, some of the issues being discussed in cabinet include scholarships, the continuation of the island-wide road rehabilitation project, the largest in the country's history, the 2020 population census, and strategic interventions in the areas of health care. The Prime Minister said that the government needs the participation and support of every St. Lucian if they were to take their beloved country to new heights of prosperity. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now on to the international news. A British woman has been given a 4-month suspended sentence after being found guilty of lying about being raped by a group of young Israelis in Cyprus. The 19-year-old hugged her family and left court weeping after she was sentenced for public mischief. Her sentence was suspended for 3 years, and she has been ordered to pay €158 in legal fees. She is now on her way. She has made her way back to the UK. Women's rights groups protested outside the court ahead of the sentencing. BBC correspondent Anna Holligan said the puffy-eyed teenager embraced her mother as chants of "We believe you" and "No means no" filtered into the courtroom from the protest outside. Supporters from Cyprus and a group of 50 women who traveled from Israel gathered outside from Augusta District Court on Tuesday holding placards. The teenager's mother shouted she is coming home to the group following sentencing and told reporters she felt relieved. Iran has carried out a ballistic missile attack on air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq in retaliation for the U.S. killing of General Qasem Soleimani. More than a dozen missiles launched from Iran struck 2 air bases in Erbil and Al-Assad west of Baghdad. President Donald Trump tweeted that all was well and said casualties and damage were being assessed. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, called the retaliation a slap in the face of the Americans.
The revenge would be to cut America's feet from the region. If that happens, and its aggressor hand is cut off forever, it would be the real revenge and the final answer of regional nations to America.
The BBC's Jeremy Bowen also gave this analysis.
The signal from the Iranian government is they want to root all this in international legality. There was a tweet from the foreign minister that what they've done follows Article 51 of the UN Charter, which is about the rights of self-defense, and that it is therefore legal. They also, though, have allied militias in different countries, including Iraq, and the Iranian speciality over the years has anyway not been full-on warfare face-to-face with more powerful countries. It's asymmetric warfare, trying to find a way round the side. So if there's more action from their side, it may well come from one of those militias.
A Ukrainian Boeing 737 carrying 176 people has crashed in Iran, and officials say there is no chance of finding survivors. Ukraine International Airlines flight PS752 to Kiev went down after taking off from Imam Khomeini Airport in Tehran at 6:12 local time. The majority of passengers were from Iran and Canada. More from the BBC's Jonah Fisher.
The crash took place on the same night as Iran launched missile attacks on military bases in Iraq, and Iranian state media was quick to stress that technical failure was the cause. There's been pushback to this from the airline. At a press conference here in Kiev, it was stressed that the plane was only 3.5 years old, had been recently serviced, and had an experienced crew. Ukraine's president has taken to social media, urging people not to speculate on the cause, to allow an investigation to take place.
And Ugandan officers have detained a smuggler passing off a baby group full of banned cosmetics as a child. The baby was intercepted aboard a bus at the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda's Customs Commissioner tweeted. Some smugglers never cease to amuse, Dixon's Kateshwambwa said in his post. Tons of banned skin-lightening products get into Uganda every year, mostly through porous points along the border with DR Congo. The cosmetics really come in bulk deliveries. Carriers who earn about $1 per trip bring them across the border box by box or sack by sack, reports the BBC's Uganda reporter Patience Atuhere. They often come concealed in sacks of green bananas and even in plastic jerry cans with false bottoms that are cut and sewn up. Most of the smuggled cosmetics tend to be skin-lightening creams that were banned in Uganda in 2016 because they contain mercury, which some studies have linked to damaging health side effects. And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis, your one-stop shop for all your school supply needs. Get bundle savings on backpack and computer packages, but save 20% off all back-to-school materials and printers. Back-to-school shopping is made easy at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. See stores for details.
Welcome back and now on to the sports. In football, Liverpool's Sadio Mane has been named the Confederation of African Football CAF Player of the Year. The Senegal forward beat Liverpool teammate and Egypt forward Mohamed Salah and Manchester City's Algerian winger Riyad Mahrez to the award. Mane, 27, helped the Reds to the 2018-2019 Champions League title, scoring 30 goals in all competitions last season. He has scored 15 goals so far in 2019-2020, with Liverpool 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. Mane collected his award at a ceremony in Hurghada, Egypt, but neither Salah, who had won the award in both the past 2 years, nor Mahrez were present. Mane has finished in the world's top 3 for the last 3 years and has long targeted the prize in order to emulate the achievement of one of his heroes, former Liverpool striker El Hadji Diouf, who won it in 2002. In basketball, Lakers star Anthony Davis limped off the court late in the third quarter of Tuesday's 117-87 victory over the Knicks and did not return after taking a hard fall on his tailbone. Davis was knocked off balance and hit the floor while attempting to defend Julius Randle's drive to the basket with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the third. He remained on the court throughout the remainder of the ensuing timeout before gingerly making his way back to the dressing room. NBA.com says the Lakers later announced that Davis suffered a sacral contusion, a bruise of the sacrum bone near the bottom of the spine. No timeline for his return was immediately provided, but the injury typically takes up to 4 weeks to completely heal per various medical websites. Meanwhile, here are the scores from last evening's matches. Pistons 115, Cavs 113, Trailblazers 101, Raptors 99, Thunder 111, Nets 103, Timberwolves 112, Grizzlies 119, Kings 114 and Suns 103. In cricket, West Indies all-rounder Dwayne Bravo was named the face of the third edition of the 10PL World Cup of Tennis Ball Cricket to be held in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates from March 8th to the 13th. Based on information from cricketworld.com, 20 teams will compete in the week-long tournament to be held under the aegis of the Sharjah Cricket Council. Bravo expressed his elation and stated he was delighted to be the face of the 10PL World Cup of Tennis Ball Cricket Tournament and that he has learnt a lot of key tricks that he ensures many of the players in the tournament will employ. Still in cricket, Evan Lewis hit an unbeaten 99 and Alzari Joseph took 4 wickets as the West Indies eased to a win over Ireland in the first of 3 ODI matches in Barbados. Ireland won the toss but struggled after reaching 51 for 1 with wicketkeeper Lorcan Tucker top scoring on 31 as the tourists were bowled out for 180. The scores were as follows: Ireland 180 in 46.1 overs, Tucker 31, Adair 29, Joseph 4 for 32. West Indies 184 for 5 in 33.2 overs, Lewis 99 not out, King 20, Singh 2 for 44. West Indies won by 5 wickets. And lastly, in our sports segment in tennis, Roger Federer, Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal will take part in an exhibition match to raise money for a bushfire relief fund in Australia. The match is scheduled for next Wednesday, January 15th, 5 days before the start of the Australian Open, and it will take place at Melbourne's Rodlive Arena. Australian Nick Kyrgios will also be playing, along with Stefanos Tsitsipas, Naomi Osaka, Caroline Wozniacki. Fires in Australia have killed at least 25 people since September. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. Tonight's weather will continue to be partly cloudy with a 50% chance of showers. The weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a 50% chance of showers. The winds east-northeast with speeds ranging between 22 and 37 kilometers per hour with occasional strong gusts. The seas are 1.5 to 2.4 meters. A small craft advisory is currently in effect as seas will gradually increase overnight and into tomorrow. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:42 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, NEMA issues public information statement following seismic activity, and Parry's retirement. Can Nevis expect a by-election? Regionally, Puerto Rico residents sleeping outside as aftershocks rock region by deadly earthquake. Internationally, Ayer Napa-Breton sentenced over false rape claim. And in sports, Liverpool and Senegal forward named CAF African Player of the Year. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Bond wishing you a